Okay, now we're going to take a look at prompt 2 from the Common Application main essays. Prompt 2 states that some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. So, the featured essay of today, we're going to use a former client of mine, Luke. Luke actually is currently a freshman at Rose-Hulman, and he chose to purchase the top tier student bundle, which allowed him to get all the help that he needed for the common application, his PSAT, as well as his ACT. With all of these things combined and working with me, he was able to secure a $29,000 scholarship every year of college, which is amazing. So, we're going to take a look at Luke's before and afters, and I'm going to give some tips in case you're also thinking of using this prompt. On your common application, there are 7 strengths that you definitely want to demonstrate. The first is your wow factor. So, what stands out about you that sets you apart from other applicants? For instance, you could be a Miss United States, or you could have gotten accepted into a NASA internship or landed an airplane at age 12, which is something that I wrote about in an essay for one of my clients. The next is your leadership abilities. This can come from being class president, team captain, or just any other moment where you took the initiative to take the lead. You also want to demonstrate your academic excellence, which can come from special awards you received, new inventions you created, or even a science fair that you won. Next, you want to show diversity, meaning can you and have you had the ability to work with different cultures other than your own? Because college, you're going to go to college and there's going to be people from all over the world, from all different walks of life, and you need to be able to get along with your peers. Next, you want to show your ambition because you are applying to go to college. So, why college? What career path? What do you want to do with the rest of your life? What are you working towards? We're going to demonstrate that in your essay. Next, your community service. What volunteering, fundraising, or starting a nonprofit did you do? And lastly, teamwork, because you can be a leader, but it's also very important to be able to work with others and demonstrate that on your common application. So, whenever I work with a client for their common application, I always follow a simple format, simple but powerful, and it really paints a story instead of just kind of being sporadic because a good student will answer the prompt, but a great student will answer the prompt and incorporate as much of themselves into that answer as possible. Because again, 650 words and we really have to sell ourselves. So, paragraph 1, I always make an introduction paragraph where we just dive in, answer the prompt. Paragraph 2, I call that the humble brag paragraph. That's where we brag about all of our accomplishments, activities, and anything else as we can relate it back to the prompt. Paragraph 3, I like for my students to discuss their future career path as it relates back to the prompt again. And then paragraph 4 is the why college. So this one, we don't necessarily relate it to the prompt. It just kind of is, this is why I want to go to college. Okay, so now we're actually going to get into Luke's before he handed me this first draft versus after he met with me and we did some magical editing. So I'm going to read through it as if it's my first time reading it and the instant things that I don't like and other things that you should not be doing on your common application. So, I've touched the moon was the text I sent my mother. The moon rock in my hand represented my grit and the rocky journey I had to get to this point. I was thrilled to be an intern working at Missouri S&T alongside grad students and Dr. Han on the NASA Big Idea Challenge grant. I had worked hard and climbed over obstacles to reach this point. My mom says I have grit to spare. This trait is my difference maker. So, first things first, those first couple of sentences, I am very fascinated by the fact that he touched the moon and also that he was a high schooler doing research on a NASA funded grant at Missouri S&T. So everything else there is kind of choppy. So I would only focus on those two things and also kind of minimize his mother. One thing I always tell students is that it's you who is the star of this essay, not anyone else. So we want to talk about ourselves. And again, with the 200 or not 200, 650 words, we don't really have a lot of room. So we want to also minimize some of those filler words. I was diagnosed with ADHD while being a visual spatial learner at age 6. Nothing seemed easy, especially school. Each day was like fighting a battle. I would come home from school beaten down, overwhelmed, and exhausted. A 15-minute writing assignment would take me 2 hours. The worst part was feeling ashamed and lost, asking my mom as I cried in bed at night why I even existed. So there are like several red flags here. First things first is you are applying for college. It's okay to have a learning disability, but you need to paint it in a positive light. And we don't want to use up all of our words talking about woe is me and trying to feel sorry for you. We need to address the ADHD, address the challenges, and then move on to how we overcame it. Also, don't put why I even existed because that sounds a little suicidal. And colleges do not want anyone that is a risk factor because it's going to be very stressful when you are in college. So we don't paint ourselves in a negative light. Next, my early years in school felt like torture, reading tutors, therapy, and brain training. But that hard work paid off, and in the end, I rewired how my brain processed information. As I exited elementary school, I had higher spatial processing than most students entering college and had increased my working and auditory memory by 50 percentile points. Suddenly, what seemed impossible every day was within reach. I stopped making excuses for and feeling sorry for myself. I became an excellent student who continues to seek challenges. ADHD ended up being an essential building block of my life, my struggles, built my perseverance and grit, key strengths I bring to everything I do. Okay, so grammar, terrible. Very, very choppy, very continuing to drag on the ADHD. Instead, the main things here that I feel like I got really interested in was actually the second paragraph because it's like, wow, this kid went from not being able to read and having difficulty concentrating to now being on the level of a college student in elementary school. So that's something that we want to highlight a little bit more because, again, we want to paint our obstacles as something that we overcame. And also, while it's popping into my head, this is probably one of the most common prompts that I see get used all the time. Common Application has been using these same prompts for the last 7 years that I've been doing this. So I doubt they're going to change next year. And I often will have a lot of athletes try to use an injury. Don't do that. That is so played out. Um, I do find it really good when someone will use their learning disabilities and discuss that. So, we're going to see how we made all this better for Luke. So, now let's look at the after Alexia introduction. I've touched the moon, was the text I sent my mother. With the moon rocked in my hand, I reflected on my rocky journey from being a 6-year-old boy struggling with ADHD to now being an intern at Missouri S&T for the NASA Big Idea Challenge Grant. So right here, you can see that I took away everything with everyone else's name and a lot of the filler words, and it flows a lot better while still getting the big picture across. Having ADHD made completing classwork feel like a daily battle because a 15-minute writing assignment would often take me 2 hours to complete. It was discouraging to take triple the time to learn what my peers could grasp instantly. However, I took the initiative to attend specialized help sessions and I worked with a private tutor daily until I had the visual, spatial processing of a college student and increased my working and auditory memory by 50 percentile points. I felt proud of myself once I became the victor of my circumstances instead of the victim. And along the way, I developed the tenacity, resilience, and relentless work ethic that enabled me to stop limiting myself to what seemed realistic and instead start striving for what most people might think is impossible. So, wow, here we condensed everything, and it doesn't sound like a sob story anymore. Instead, it opens up with, wow, this kid sounds awesome. He went from having ADHD to now doing research for NASA. So it makes me want to read more because that's what you want your college admissions person who is looking at these essays, who's already looked at 40,000 essays and wants to be wowed. That's what they want to see. Okay, so now we're going to look at paragraph 2 of Luke's essay, which is what we call our humble brag paragraph. And this is where we like to say all of our accomplishments and how it relates back to the prompt. So let's start with Luke's before. Since I was a child, I have always wanted to create things. My happiest memories are of building. I was constantly building my Lego designs, taking over whole rooms. My passion for building also helped me overcome the challenges I face with ADHD. Although our minds wander, we also have a unique ability to hyperfocus on things we enjoy. I chose to leverage that focus and my time to explore engineering. My teachers tell me that I have a talent for mechanical and structural engineering and am known for pushing the boundaries. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. I don't care what your teacher told you. Like, nobody cares. Like, obviously, like, your teachers you build relationships with, they're going to think positive about you. Your mother is going to say nice things about you. The common application and college admissions committees do not care what people say about you unless that is in a rec letter. What they care about is, why are you this great? How are you overcoming these challenges? So I want to see solid proof on the things that you're doing instead of just what other nice things that people say about you. Let's continue. My engineering teacher, Mrs. Bear, always says I dream big and do too much on our class projects. My ideas were beyond our level, but I would keep putting in the extra hours and find teammates to dig in with me. Again, what project did you do that went above and beyond? Give me a specific example. Like, let me feel like I am watching this project for the first time and getting wowed myself. And then I can make the decision if it was that great or not. Eventually, we would design and build something that had yet to be done before a student in our program. We created a warehouse robot that recognized color, a hovercraft that transported a student, and our first robotics team won the automation award. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. This is the important stuff. I personally would just delete everything above and start here because this shows, wow, like, I've overcome my ADHD and now I can do all these great things. I'm very hands on, especially since a lot of students with ADHD tend to not be able to focus, and hands on activities tend to allow them to focus a little better. So, that is the strength demonstrating. That is what you want to be showcasing in your humble bragging. Um, Next is I have taken many STEM courses and some of my favorite projects. I've taken many STEM courses and scored at distinguished levels on the national exams in the Project Lead the Way. Actually, as you can see here, he used an acronym, which I know what Project Lead the Way classes are because I took them, and I'm not that old, but the first year that they were testing them out. But who knows? Like, those are only offered at certain schools. This admissions coach might not know what PLTW is. So that's an error right there. Engineering program. You can find some of my favorite projects on my website. He lists his link here, which you should never do because they are literally going to take what you give them at face value. They will not be clicking any links. So do not put any links in there. I would bring the same effort and creativity to my college program. Okay, so with that last sentence, effort and creativity, I know, because I know Luke, that he did substantially more on his project than he is letting on to for this particular paragraph. Instead, it really makes him look like the background guy when he's just talking about it as a team instead of saying exactly what he did and his role on all of these projects. So, for his humble brag, I would address the ADHD again because you want to keep addressing your prompt in each paragraph so that they know, like, hey, we're still talking about the same prompt, but I'm going to make this direction of this conversation go in my favor and what I want you to know about me because I'm the star of the show. You just got to pretend like you're the diva and you just want everyone to know all the best facts about you. So, paragraph 2 after Alexia. If it doesn't exist, then I create it. As a child, I would take over the entire house with my Lego designs. Fortunately, a silver lining to having ADHD is that I would become hyper focused on robotics projects where I could turn my imagination into reality. So, with that opening sentence, I am painting ADHD in a positive light now. We will not dwell on it anymore. Instead, we're only going to talk about the positives that have come from it. And also, as a woman, if I were on the admissions committee, I'm instantly thinking about this cute kid playing with Legos, trying to become an engineer. And you want to also play on their emotions. You want to think, wow, like you want them to like feel like they're there and painting this whole image in their head. So you're telling a story. The next sentence says, as a mentor and robotics team leader at my school, I became more efficient at problem solving, time management, troubleshooting, and teamwork. Right here in this sentence, I just found out that he's a leader, which he did not say previously. He made it seem like he was just someone on the team. And he also is demonstrating new skills that he learned. So he learned to problem solve, time management. These are all things that they want to see if you're an engineering student in college. I soon realized that I had endless possibilities at my fingertips to use my knowledge to help people find solutions to problems in their everyday lives. Over time, the robotics team equipped me with the skills necessary in analytical thinking, physics, and coding. Oh, he knows how to code. That's a great skill to learn. Not all students know that. I'm learning new things about him, see? I hold myself to a standard of excellence beyond my grade level. For example, I designed and successfully led the execution of a warehouse robot that recognized color and a hovercraft that transported a student with 100% autonomous consistency. I can proudly say that all our automation award winning designs that I led have never been done before by any other student in our program. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Now I just learned that Luke led every assignment, what he did, and that he's an innovative creator that is designing everything that didn't come from these ideas were not someone else's, they were his own. Do you see how instead of in the previous paragraph where he's just a student and he's trying to take a back seat, he is now humbly bragging and saying all the things he did. Let's see. Where did we leave off at? Through perseverance and hard work, my ADHD that once was a challenge has made me stronger and better. My biggest hope for the future is that my story can be used to motivate everybody to believe that when you pursue your goals and keep moving forward, that anything is possible. That sounds so inspirational. And he again addressed the prompt again very subtly. He's not in our face with the prompt. And I learned substantially more about him. Okay, so now we're going to go on to paragraph 3, which is the future career paragraph. And in this paragraph, I like for students to incorporate to first say what they want to do for their future career, as well as incorporate certain activities or other things that they have been doing to show that they have kind of a little bit of an interest or experience in the field. So let's start with Luke's before paragraph. My parents raised me to help others through my passions. As a child, I loved oceans and whales, so for my birthdays, I asked people to donate money to adopt whales and support endangered animals instead of gifts. So that's great, Luke, but what does that have to do with your future career? We only have a few words, and instead of, again, we want to like show and paint a story of like the things that you're doing. I created and taught my classmates an Explore the Oceans course in second grade, and we even drew a life size orca. In high school, one of the ways I give back is to volunteer as a counselor for our local care camp. We take kids around to volunteer at different local charities. Doing this always brings the biggest smile. I love knowing we are making a positive impact and being part of the solution. This paragraph is all over the place. We started off talking about whales, now we're talking about camp, and I still don't know what Luke wants to do for a living in the future. We have many complex problems that need solutions, and I want to use my passion and engineering skills to create solutions to help our animals, people, and Earth. The work done in science shapes the future of our communities, and that is the type of impact I want to make. He should have opened with how he ended this because I kind of lost interest when I'm learning about whales and camp and it's all over the place. So I would cut everything or just rearrange it and then also tie in the things that he does and why it is leading him to want to be a certain type of engineer. So let's look at his after paragraph. After me, of course. The idea of creating a better world for future generations inspires me to pursue mechanical engineering and start my own company that creates technology to help the environment. Bam! So I know what he wants to do. I know he wants to become an entrepreneur. And I think that that's really great to hear come out of a high schooler's mouth. And now that we introduced that he wants to help the environment, he can go talk about whales all he wants because that's going to support his future career direction. So, as a child, I loved the ocean and the whales so much that on my birthdays, I would ask people to donate money to adopt whales and support endangered species instead of giving me gifts. Aww, that now I care about his whales comment. Now I want to utilize environmental resources in a sustainable manner to create an apparatus capable of turning seawater into drinking water to slow down the rising sea levels. Our government is our environment is our home that keeps us alive, provides the food we eat, the water we drink, and the air we breathe. For every environmental issue that we have in this world, there is also a reasonable solution that we as individuals can start implementing in our daily routine to create a more sustainable future. Wow. No words, just wow. In the company I started called C&V Detailing, where I provide auto detailing for customers throughout the St. Louis region, I have been amazed by electric vehicles and how they can avoid millions of metric tons of CO2 emissions annually. The common drawback to electric vehicles, however, is their charging limitations and availability. This reason is why one of my long term career ambitions is to be able to create a solar power charging pad for electric vehicles. The issues in the environment are real, and there will be unfortunate consequences if change does not happen soon. With a college degree, I will be equipped with the tools and connections necessary to make positive changes to the environment. Okay, so here I love this, and I also got to learn that Luke owns a company, and instead of him just detailing cars, he brought it back to the environment. He brought it back to engineering, and he's selling me on his future career that it's not just something like he pulled a rabbit out of a hat and decided on it one day. It's something that like he incorporates it into everything that he is doing. Okay, so now we've made it to the fourth and final paragraph, which is the why college paragraph. And when I say why college, you never want to put in a specific college name because the Common App main essay will go to every single college. And we want them to think that we are only talking about them, we are only looking at them, and we don't look at or see any other colleges but that school. So, but, we're going to apply to multiple schools because that's the responsible thing to do. And we don't want to mention an actual college name in this paragraph. But we want to like also close it up. So I've always found that this is a really good closing paragraph. So let's look at Luke's before. Working on a grant for NASA was an incredible experience, giving me a real look at work in a lab, running experiments, taking a big idea, and working to invent a better way. It's cemented for me that I want to continue on this path. I want to work with others to create solutions that will help solve our problems and leave things better than we found them. That's good. But the only thing I would critique is adding in his major, just to kind of, and just maybe rewording the words a little bit. So let's look at his after. The world of mechanical engineering can be unpredictable and overwhelming, but I have gained lifelong skills necessary to overcome anything. Working in a research lab on a NASA grant was an incredible experience that taught me that the greatest scientific discoveries were made possible because somebody followed their urge of inspiration. Thanks to my challenges, I feel capable to handle the future obstacles and pressures of college. I know that college will not be without its challenges and that there are many educational mountains I will have to climb, but I am ready to conquer the next chapter of my life. So here we show I'm ready for college. We also readdress the prompt again, which he did not do in his closing paragraph because you always want to close out, make them know like, hey, we're still talking about the same prompt. I know I incorporated some other things, but I'm still here. I'm still addressing it. And it just looks really nicely to close up. So if you like this essay and you're thinking about this prompt, but you need a little bit of help, you definitely want to use my Common Application Deluxe. Or if you also need help with your ACT addition to your Common Application, I strongly recommend purchasing the top tier student bundle. With my Common Application help, it includes unlimited edits. I also work to sell you in your own unique story, just the way how you just listened to Luke. So if you have any other questions, email alexiaacademicconsulting@gmail.com. Thank you.